Hi YouTube, it's I. I've come to rant. I think manhwas or webtoons or however you want to say it, I've been reading a lot of trash series and a lot of good ones. And I'm trying to feel what is my feeling on what makes a bad manhwa. Essentially, my point goes to this. I've been reading Tower of the Fall, and I think the series is bad because it makes me no longer interested in the main character's journey. Because it feels like the reward is being stifled. There is no reward. Um, in the basis of Tower of the Fall, it's this main character who's climbing this tower. He practices a thrust every day. He might not be the strongest of the group, but he's up there. And he keeps going and going and going and going. And reaches the top and meets the manager of the tower who's doomed humanity. And he's finally up there and he finally gets to meet him. And he realizes his thing doesn't work, but he keeps trying. His answer is literally, I've been doing this one thing. And it's such a beautiful moment when he finally accomplishes his mission. What happens next? The world should go back to normal. This is what he's been fighting for, but he's teleported to a new world. It's basically, okay, we know this one dude got the towers from somewhere, right? So we gotta figure out where the towers are from and how they come to Earth and and everything just keeps building and building and building, like we're getting bigger and bigger, but now it's inflated. The balloon feels like it's gonna pop on itself because you keep introducing stuff that doesn't feel good. It just feels too large. And it feels like there's nowhere to go because this open world is too open. You've left so many things, but you keep introducing this new shiny thing to look at that keeps diverting the character. And that keeps saying your strength isn't enough. Get stronger. And then when he does, it doesn't feel like there's any real progression. And then you introduce these new systems and it, like, his answer is still the same thing. Just do it better. I get it. When you do one thing good, you do it good and you hone in on it. You do it so good that you become a master of it. And that's fine and dandy. But where do you go in a story that isn't rewarding you? What is the reward that makes me go, I'm happy with this? The main character in Tower of the Fall currently is doing so much work to get his friend. And genuinely, at this point, you're just gay for the bro. I hate to say it. I mean, you don't literally fight through gods to save your homie. And I get it. He climbed this entire tower and just barely died before he wants it. So he's been there. He's been his A1 since day one. But there's a point I feel most people would be like, this isn't worth it. You know, to defeat multiple gods, to destroy the entire realm, and maybe if his point was to, I want to defeat all this so no one has to suffer like Earth did, I feel like that would be more of a hero, altruistic hero look, when he's more of a narcissistic, wants to only do it for his goal. But then he makes friends, he does other things, and now he's like, I care about these people. So then you give him obviously more people to care about in the power system, and he does the same thing, and I think there's certain aspects of it that makes it so interesting, but the fucking thing is, it's boring because he keeps introducing these new things that keep going stronger and stronger and stronger. It's literally would be like, we're watching Dragon Ball, and then the Red Ribbon Army comes in when Goku's a kid, and immediately Vegeta comes out, and somehow Goku beats Vegeta, despite enough time. I'm not talking about kid Goku with a power pole. And immediately beats Vegeta. And then Frieza comes in, almost the next day, or gets introduced immediately. There's no room to breathe with these systems. And I get it, sometimes you don't want to leave a room to breathe. I'm reading Return to the Mount Humasect, and it gives us time to breathe. When you give your author or readers time to breathe, it lets you ingest these power systems, understand the breakdown. Well, when you just go, there's domain expansions, there's this, there's that, there's this new power system, there's these types, they're as strong as the six gods. Nothing feels fermented. And when this character says, "You're not as strong as me," it makes me go, what's the point of introducing these cool characters just for your character just. And then you have to introduce like 7 new characters that barely meet your character's turn because you want to keep like riding your character, or you don't want these characters to be too strong. It just feels like pointless because there's no upper limit. There's no real upper limit until they're like God sending. And the thing is, there's some series I'm reading where characters do become gods, and I'm fine with that. Because it feels like the main character is written to be petty or written to do this, so it makes sense for this character to become a god, and I'm fine with it because the series is ridiculous. I think the problem is when these series take themselves so seriously that there doesn't feel like a feedback, and the reward is stifled from them. That is this one thing they want, but there's so much effort and work you have to do. It's like literally saying, if you clean this every single house in your entire neighborhood, I'll give you $2, and you spend months doing it, and then they're like, okay, now clean that neighborhood, and they still don't give you $2. Why are you doing all this for $2? I would barely clean a room for that much. It just doesn't feel worth it. And now it's like I will, and then if okay, but on the reverse side, it's like I will clean. If you clean every house in this neighborhood, I will make sure you're set for life. I can understand doing that, but then it's like clean that one and that one and that one. It feels like you're using your entire life to do it. But then, like, no time passes. There's no acute, and even when time passes, it doesn't feel like it. There's no actual artistic difference. There's nothing other than the character saying it's been 3 months, and like I don't know that, or I've spent 10,000 years. It gets inflated to the point where the reader doesn't have an understanding and just has to go, oh, okay, cool, and that doesn't feel good. I'm dropping The World After the Fall today because it's just not good. It doesn't feel satisfying to read a series that got so big onto power scaling that it can't even understand what's the point of these powers. And you're like, well, this problem exists with Dragon Ball. It doesn't feel like it exists because it gives time to breathe. And yes, I have problems with Cell Max. And yes, I have problems with Beast Gohan, but it still feels like there was time to breathe, where these things feel like they make sense. And there's series like Return of the Mount USA, Omniscience Reader's Viewpoint, SS's Class Survival Hunter. There are series that Survival the Barbarian in Another World, Survival of Sword King in Another World. Those series have their power system established, and they don't go beyond it. They literally say a human can reach a god strength. That's it. And you're like, what's a god strength? And they're like, this is kind of what a god can do, and with enough training, you can do it too. By establishing that so early on and showing a character that's not the main character doing that, observing that, and saying that's the level I need to reach to fight your boss, or the entire universe is doing, really cements a passageway. So fucking Omniscience Reader's Viewpoint literally does the same thing with the reward for the main character, even stifling it isn't, I'm gonna do this to save the world. He's doing this because he wants the best ending for the characters he loves. He's literally felt like he's been saved. I'm a One Piece fan, and I was reading One Piece every single day, and I reached the end of One Piece and I'm like, I wish there was this was done or that was done, and then I get teleported to the world of One Piece, and Luffy immediately join his crew. Day one, I make sure every single person gets what they need. You know, I'm stopping things. I'm helping people through it. I'm literally going to assist every step of the way. Sorry, I need some water. It's important to me that these worlds be well built. And Return of the Melchizedek does this well because I feel like there's pacing between problems, and when a problem is, yes, the main character is solving anything, but he's reincarnated into a new body. He has all the information in his past one. He's one of the stronger ones, or even strongest ones, and he knows everything because he's experienced it in its prime, and he knows how to cement that into his next life. The Rudia situation, any character that gets into a new body, and sometimes it's handled poorly because it feels like they know too much, like an average human, but he's a peak martial artist. Of course he's going to know how to get back to that standpoint from a young age. His body isn't there yet. And this has been an affirmative problem. He's like, I haven't been training hard enough. People in this new generation are still pretty strong, and I need to make sure I'm not the strongest one. These people need to fight with me. These people need to do this with me. He's really training everything. And it makes so much sense. It's so beautiful because, literally, the rewards for doing this are there in front of them. They are hand. You can see what the reward from this situation is going to be. He's doing hard work, therefore he's rewarded, and the reward can go forward. And the reward sucks sometimes when it's just a screen saying you leveled up, and I'm looking at you solo leveling. The reward sucks because it doesn't feel like the reward makes sense sometimes. You're like, okay, I leveled up, but did you just do all this just to get stronger to fight more people? It breaks apart because certain series are good and certain series are bad, and certain series could delve more into the world than some series. I think, all in all, I'm going to talk about 2 series I think that make it really, that work and do it poorly, and don't work, it does it greatly. God of High School and Tower of God. God of High School does it really poorly, where it sets up as a system to not make sense, but I like it because it's action nonsense. But it feels great. But something that feels like it should work for me, but doesn't, is Tower of God, because it feels too big. They've established this big bad, and it makes sense, but they keep establishing everything that's between that and that big bad, and you don't know. It's like if you introduced Beerus at the beginning of Dragon Ball, and you just keep knowing that we're building up to Beerus, but then these lines keep getting drawn that they're like, I'm 20% of Beerus' power, or 30%, but then you make those margins so small that you're like, am I making any real progress here? And you could say, well, that feels like the problem with modern day Dragon Ball, because Beerus is still an end goal. But Beerus isn't evil. He's just there. Beerus isn't doing anything. And that's fine. Until he needs to. He doesn't do anything. I'm sorry, hold on. I think it's because Beerus doesn't cement a threat to the Dragon Ball game. It's because characters, when they are so powerful and they're a goal for the character, the reward is meeting that goal. But therefore, that goal has to not be a constant threat. Because once it reaches the constant threat, it feels like you're rushing towards that goal. Goku can more or less take his time with reaching to Beerus' strength, and that's fine. We're all happy with that. But it doesn't feel like certain characters can take that time, and it feels like when things keep getting thrown and thrown at the character, it feels like you're being bloated, and I don't know where the direction is going. And especially when you introduce this character who keeps getting so strong, and then you just go, you're nowhere near my power. It makes me feel, how much further do we have to go? You feel lost because the world is so beautiful and big, and you want to explore every core of it. You don't know where it goes, and then when you introduce so many people, it makes you also feel lost. And the characters that you want to do stuff, never, and the characters that you don't want to do stuff keep being brought up, and then you get confused and you get lost, and there's so many names. I feel like, genuinely, when you set a character, there has to be a challenge, a struggle, a goal, and a reward. Some of those things only focus on the challenge and the struggle and receive no reward. Therefore, it makes it feel pointless. Hell, Lookism does this to a fault, and it's why I dropped it. They keep introducing struggles and challenges when they're all like 16. I couldn't get into it when it hit a certain mark because it just kept going, these guys are so strong, they're the strongest. You're just human. You know? They're just guys. I don't care how high of a martial artist are you. You're a human. You know? There's only so much blunt force you can take to the jaw before you're knocked out. And I understand you want to make it unrealistic, but then they are like, this is Ultra Instinct, or this guy is so strong he can destroy a building and a thing. You lose your faction of realism that you're putting it on. Like, you gotta make a good in between with these rewards, these interesting mysteries. You have to make a consistent system. And I think it's literally because a lot of people do not write out where is the absolute top. And they don't figure that out of, do I want my character to reach that top? Those are two questions. Because I don't feel like every character needs to reach the pinnacle of humanity or whatever. Some characters do, but I genuinely think when it comes to a lot of series, and then they're like, I'm going to make them reach the top, and it's going to sound so cool and interesting, but you do nothing with it. It feels empty. And I don't like that. I don't like my manhwa feeling bloated and empty just for the sake of sounding cool and awesome. And I want my manhwa to do better. I need more good series that are written. You know, I need more good rom-coms that are written. I need more series that feel solid, not bloated hardware. You know, not bloated information. It's just gotta be solidly good. That's all for me. Okay, bye.